to the Let's Talk BS podcast. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Sofia, and we're coming to you live from the
757.
Good morning, Bryan.
Hey, good morning, Sofia. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Trials and tribulations.
Yeah, man, it's been a lot. Like, we had times where the studio was being used during our allotted time, and we had times where we're not the most technically sound people, I would say. At least I can speak for myself anyway.
I'm not.
And,
but I'm a little bit better than you.
You are.
Yeah.
That's an area that I've never had. I'm very basic in. So I know how to Google search things, and I know how to use a GPS. Mm-hmm. That's it. But yeah, technically sound stuff and all that. Nah.
Yeah.
I'm behind the times when it comes to that. But yeah, we had some technical difficulties as well.
Yeah.
But we're here.
We're here today.
We're here. So that's all that matters.
So yeah, moving forward.
Yeah.
Moving forward. So what you been up to?
What have I been up to? Just working, and the family. It's been probably about maybe a month since we recorded, so just been.
Has it been that long?
I think so. It's been a good 3 to 4 weeks. I think it was like the last time we recorded. I want to say it was like the end of September, if I'm not mistaken, beginning of October.
I don't even remember. It felt like a blur. I feel like we've been. I think the difference is we've actually been here attempting to record, and then that feels like
we actually
a day
recorded.
that we recorded, which we couldn't.
I think the last time we actually put something out was, like I said, I think it was right around because the beginning of October was Brooke's birthday, and then we had went down to the Outer Banks, and I don't think we put out anything since then. I think it was either that week or before then.
Yeah. You better than me when it comes to that. Your memory is way better than mine. Yeah. So
it's been a minute. I mean, what I've been up to is just obviously closing mortgages. Things have slowed down tremendously with with interest rates and just where things are in the economy in itself.
Absolutely.
But I got my other projects that I've been working on. I got 3 houses that we're building right now. One is just listed. I just listed it earlier this week. Already getting some good traffic on it. So I'm excited about that. The goal is to hopefully get it under contract before Thanksgiving. The house will be complete right around Thanksgiving, so I'm hoping to get it under contract and close it out before the end of the year. So I'm excited about that. It's a nice house. I actually was over there yesterday shooting some content for it.
Okay.
One of my buddies who does, he does like video and branding and everything, so he was over there getting some good shots of it. So that should be on my social media here, I would say, within the next week. But outside of that, man, just grinding, trying to make it, trying to make things work. My son Niall, he's playing.
Excuse me.
Yeah, my son Niall, he's playing football, and my daughter's playing soccer. So Niall has been really excelling in football. So I've been excited. He scored his first touchdown, about a month ago, and he's been doing very, very well when it comes to that. But yeah, just been doing that, hanging out with the fam. What else I've been doing? Watching football, cooking on the grill. Those are my favorite pastimes. And yeah, what about you? What you having going on?
I'm officially dog free.
Is that dog free?
Yes.
What happened to your dog?
We gave her away.
You gave her away?
Yes.
Oh man. Well, I mean, something was wrong, or you just?
No. Something was wrong. The owner of the dog wasn't doing her job.
So that means I'm assuming.
So I bought. My teenager asked me to buy her a dog. 3 years ago.
Okay.
And she's promised that she would take care of this dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started to become my responsibility. And I was like, look, I don't have time for a dog. I don't want to take care of another living, breathing thing. So I had been warning her, like, look, I think I warned her for at least 2 of the 3 years. Like, look, you got to step up. Like, you got to get up, set your own alarm, take her out. You got to feed her every day. Everybody got to eat. Mm-hmm. Even you eat every day. Mm-hmm. But she would do things like go outside, take her outside, and then 2-3 minutes come right back in the house. And I'm like, dude, you don't even shit that fast. Like, come on now. There's absolutely no way. And it was just I just felt like I was just talking to a wall because it wasn't sinking in. So then I was getting ready to surrender her to like what is it called? It's like a shelter or something like that.
Yeah, dog shelter.
But one of my friend's sisters, she loves dogs. Like, and that had always been a goal of mine. It was to give her to someone where the kids can still see her.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So it actually ended up working out. She was like, I'll take her. And so we dropped her off willingly. I was so happy. That was the happiest day. It's been so easy. Like, I ain't got to yell and tell someone to go do something in regards to...
How's the kids been taking it, though?
Carter hasn't even noticed. He hasn't even asked about the dog. And then Jada, she was kind of sad. She cried one day, and then she kind of was mad at the oldest because ultimately it's her fault.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And then the oldest is just like, she's walking around like, oh, I was about to do this for Faye. And I'm like, but she ain't do it when she was here. Yeah, like, get out of here. Don't even come to me with the bull crap. So, yeah, I'm happy about that. And then my daughter had homecoming. So she dressed up. We got her ready for that. Halloween, of course, went out. We were in that mess of a rain a couple days ago. We went to Hunt Farm. Hunt
Club Farm.
Yeah, for the first time.
That's a good time. Yeah,
which was cool. Yeah. My middle child actually wanted to get on a hayride. Oh. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm scared of the hayride, so no.
You said you're scared of the hayride, for real?
I mean, like the nighttime one, the scary one. Yeah, I don't do scary, period. Like, nothing. Yeah. Listen, the scariest thing I'm watching, I told Carter today, we could watch Ghostbusters.
Yeah. That's not scary.
It's the scariest thing I'm watching.
Ghostbusters?
Yep.
Okay.
Listen, I don't play with the spirits.
The spirits.
of any kind.
That's funny. Nah, I hear you.
But my daughter, she went to King's Dominion and went to like the haunted, whatever they do there. Mm-hmm. I didn't go. She was trying to get me to go, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't do scary, like, period. Yeah. Like, when November 1st came, I was so happy. I was like, now it's my time. I'm a holiday person, like, when it comes to, like, Christmas. That's me. Yeah. That's my favorite time of year.
I love this time of the year, man. I love it. I love this time of the year. So, now that you mentioned what you've been doing, I kind of forgot a couple things. There's a couple things that I've been doing. I had like a brain fart. Again, I'm foggy this morning. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
You need some coffee? Sorry. Hold on. You need some caffeine?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Here we go. Here we go with the coffee, caffeine stuff again. So a couple things I did was I actually went, which was pretty fun. I think this was 2 weekends ago. I went up to a Navy football game. So one of my buddies in my neighborhood, I've kind of referenced him a couple of times. He played football at the Naval Academy. And so he had always told me about, the atmosphere at the game and how they have like a big tailgate and a big brotherhood. That's the big thing from the Naval Academy. They call it a brotherhood. So he invited me to come check out a football game up there. They played against Air Force. And it's in Annapolis, Maryland. And he's also a big Detroit Lions fan as well. And so the Detroit Lions were playing against the Baltimore Ravens. And so it was pretty cool to kind of make it. Detroit. That's right. Yeah, you're Michigan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
I grew up in that snow.
Yeah.
That's what I was telling people the other day when a lot of people were saying, oh, we're not going to go trick-or-treating. I was like, what? It was snowing in Michigan on Halloween. And guess what they were doing? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Trick-or-treating.
Trick-or-treating, yeah.
Snow don't stop you up there.
Oh, yeah.
Weather don't stop you.
Yeah. I mean, that's when that's what you're accustomed to, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's anything. Like, I remember my parents, when I was born in Rhode Island, so, Rhode Island has weather just like Michigan does. So I remember my dad was telling me, like, when my dad first got stationed up there, they were used to, how things were down in North Carolina. And so he was saying that, like, the very first day that he had to report to the ship, it was, like, snowing crazily. And he was like, it was like he thought that they were going to say, hey, you just don't come in. And so he said, like, he looked outside. He said he saw people putting chains on their tires to be able to, like, move through the snow. Like, I guess that's like at least back then. I mean, this is the 80s, you know what I'm saying? But they put these things on their tires, these chains, to allow you to have tractions through the snow. And so he was like, he just, I think he said he ended up catching a ride with like one of his other, shipmates or whatever. And he was like, that walk all the way up the dry dock He's like, man, he said his nose was running.
Yeah.
He said, man,
that's a different kind of cold.
Yeah, he was like, man, this is crazy. But he's like, everybody that was already living there, like this was just normal. And for him, he was like, this was absurd, So
yeah. So so 2 stories. When I was working at Chase, I lived in a city called Kentwood, which is outside of Grand Rapids. And it's like the suburbs of Grand Rapids. And then I worked in another city called Granville. I think that was the name of the city, Granville. And to get there, it was almost like taking, if you're from like this area in Hampton Roads, it's kind of similar to like a Virginia Beach Boulevard or like a military highway. It's just this long road that goes from one city to the next city to the other, and you can get there, And at one point, you have to cross this bridge to get to the other side, just like how we have bridges here.
Yeah.
And one thing that's known across like the whole United States is when it's cold outside, it's actually colder. The road conditions are worse on bridges.
Of course, yeah.
Because of the airflow that can go above and below it. And so my car on this bridge started spinning. Like, I was like, what do you call it? Fishtailing back and forth across this bridge. And I'm like trying to...
Was there other cars on the road too? Or
not
really?
many. No, because
okay.
that day it was a blizzard.
Yeah.
Like, it was so bad that day that I made it to work, but we ended up not opening the branch because we didn't have sufficient... for certain businesses, especially like a bank, you have to have like the pathways plowed in the parking lot, and it was so bad that day that nobody was out doing that stuff. So we ended up having to close down until...
So what you end up doing, like just closing and driving back home?
Well, I actually stayed there for a little bit until it was able, until the sun kind of
hit the snow.
Yeah, so I was there just sitting in the branch from 8, because we opened up at 9. We had to be there pretty early, and then I stayed till noon. Okay. And then I dipped. Okay. Because it was so cold. I mean, I didn't want to get back on that bridge. It scared me. You talking about, I'm a 19, 20-year-old. I mean, that's crazy. I was an experienced driver, but I wasn't that experienced to drive in that condition.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and then there's another time where, so my husband, he's from Miami, like born and raised, never lived in the snow for real. And something was going on with my dad, and we were in Michigan. I can't even remember why we were there, but we just so happened to be there like around New Year's. And so we took it upon ourselves to try and go out to like somewhere where they were having fun. Yeah. And literally, I hadn't lived in Michigan in years. You're talking a really long time. So I wouldn't say I'm not used to it, but it just wasn't something I had experienced in a while. So I was used to living in tropical weather or even like weather like here. So we went out from the car walk to the front door of this place. I was freezing, but it was women out there with like mini dresses and heels walking in the snow. Yeah. And I saw that, and it was so cold standing in the line, my mind changed. I was like, yeah, it's time to go. I never even made it inside because it was so cold.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's tough. Yeah. That's tough. But yeah, so getting back.
Detroit. Back to
Detroit. So that weekend, we went up to go see the Naval Academy football game, which was cool. The tailgate was really, really fun. I met a whole bunch of, guys that, he either went to school with or he just knew. So that was really, really cool. Made some connections as well. I'm always looking to make connections. I always, real estate wise. So I met a guy who's a cool dude, man. He was a doctor down in Tennessee, and he's looking to get in, or he's already in investing. He was just looking to kind of, get some information because he's new to it. So we connected. So that was pretty cool. So the Naval Academy lost, unfortunately, that game. And then so we went back. We stayed at Maryland Live in the casino. And if anybody knows me, I like to gamble a little bit, like to play a little bit of craps and a little bit of blackjack. So we pretty much ventured downstairs to the casino and did that, for the remainder of the evening/night. And then the next day we woke up and then we went to the football game. The Baltimore Ravens played against the Detroit Lions, and the Ravens smashed Detroit. They beat them like 35-6. So it was crazy because I was telling Shao before we went up there, I was like, man, we can't go home this weekend, man, with both of your squads losing. They're like, one of them got to win at least one of the games we go to, and they both end up losing. So he was pretty, he was pretty pissed off on the way home.
That's just like the homecoming games we went to. So I took my daughter to her high school's homecoming game, and they won. They actually blew out the other team. And we went to another high school's homecoming. It was the same thing. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, we need more competition. Like, are all the students going to one school just to dominate?
That's how it be, though, honestly. That's how it be. It was even like that when I was growing up where, and especially now, see, back then, when I was growing up, they didn't have, like, these academies and things that people have now, or the schools have now. Mm-hmm. So now you can kind of have, like, a built-in reason. Like, when football maybe or sport may be really the reason you're going there, but you can, like, say, hey, the academy is why I'm going there because you live out of district. Yeah. When I was growing up, it was just kind of like people were using people's addresses or whatever because if you went to a certain high school, you would get more opportunity because those high schools were better. Obviously, the further along you do in the playoffs, the more scouts and eyes get to you.
Yeah.
This is obviously before the whole social media bang. So now it's a little bit different when it comes to you can still potentially get, looked at and stuff because you can upload your own stuff out there. Back then, I was creating VHS tapes and we were mailing them to the colleges and trying to get people to come take a look at us and all that. So it was a whole different way of going. But yeah, so I went. That was pretty cool. Went to that game, both of those games that weekend. And then what else did I do? Try to think. Obviously, I did the trick or treating. My kids loved it. My son dressed up as Blippi, and my daughter dressed up as Mika. So they both loved that TV show. So that was pretty cool, for that. But let me see. Like I'm missing something. No, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I think, earlier in the month of October, like I mentioned, I think earlier we went down to our beach house that we have in the Outer Banks. So that was pretty fun. That was right after Brooke's birthday, like 2 days after that. So we went down there with a couple of friends. And that was pretty cool. Played golf. Been playing a lot of golf lately. Playing golf today, actually. So I'm excited about that because the weather is freezing this morning. It was stupid cold. Like, I had to warm both cars up. And even after warming up for like 10 minutes, like when I got in my truck, it was still cold.
Frosted, right? Well, like, that's how it was for me.
Yeah, it was still cold. Like, I was like, goodness gracious. Yeah. So, I mean, but...
Because I warmed my car up. Like, I just hit the start button from the house, but warmed it up. And I have, like, settings on my phone where I can, like, change the temperature.
Oh, snap. I probably got that, too. I never even I just run in there, run outside, turn the car on and turn the defrost, everything up high. Yeah, I need to look and see what's going on. I told you. I told you.
You saw my face like, what?
Yeah, you was looking at me like I'm prehistoric or something. Like
you literally went outside?
Yeah, I went outside. It was cold. I actually had shorts on still, so I was cold. Ran outside, turned both cars on, and came back in to finish getting the kids dressed.
Yeah, my car, you can actually you can change the time of year in your car and have settings for each time of the year. So if it's winter...
So it's an app that you download or something?
It's an app, and you can...
So like the vehicle, like your vehicle app? I'm about to look at that joint right now. Go ahead, keep talking.
You basically preset what you want the temperature to be in the car, and it'll automatically turn on to that temperature that you preset in your app. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I can lock my doors from my app.
That's crazy.
It tells me, like, if there's anything wrong with the car. Like, I had my car, when the temperature drops.
Service here, so my phone is kind of.
When the
remote. Here we go.
When the temperature drops, your tire pressure tends to go down.
Yeah.
So I had one tire that was at like 28, and my app was like, ma'am, you need to figure this out.
That's crazy.
So I had to go put air in my tire and all that good stuff. So yeah, you better. I'm surprised you're like they set that up for me before I even rode off the lot.
For real. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in a rush. I was ready to roll.
Me too.
I was ready to roll.
Yeah, I was the same way. You gotta think that day. I think I told you about it. That day, I had to leave the dealership early to go and get my daughter from practice from Virginia Beach all the way to where I don't even know where we were. I can't remember where she was practicing. I think it was like in deep Chesapeake.
Okay.
Somewhere. And then I still had to take my middle child to soccer.
Oh, see, look, it says right here, set vehicle climate remotely. That's crazy. This is my project for the weekend. I'm going to really dive in on this and see what's going on. Because, that was cool. I mean, seriously, that was like, in my mind, again, I'm just, how I am, I'm very habit, right? So if I do something, I just continue to do it until someone shows me that there's another way to do it. So no one's presented to me like, hey, you could do it this way. I'm not saying I didn't think that you could do it. I just never was shown it. So, I'm going to definitely see what's going on.
Yeah.
Go.
That's, what? Go ahead and step into 2023. Because you was
right,
definitely stuck in the 10s.
Yeah, I was. I was.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, so moral of the story, guys. If you got a car that was, at least in the last, 5 or 10 years, you probably can start your car from your remote.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I was still in the push start stage, you know what I mean? You push start. I was like, okay, that's the feature. Like, nah, I didn't know you could do stuff on your phone, so that's cool.
So my husband got a truck, and that thing still got a key. And so every time I get in that truck, I don't get in there often, but every time I have to get in the truck, like if it's for an event and I got to carry like the tent and all the extra stuff, I get in the car and by habit I go to push and I'm like, oh shoot, where did I put the keys? I don't even know where the key at.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Because I'm not used to that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And then his primary car, of course, I believe is push to start. I don't really drive that car. It's too much. I don't like, it's too loud for me.
Gotcha.
I don't like loud cars. But yeah, so, okay. Jumping into, usually we have a script. We got something that we go along with. But since we hadn't recorded in a while, we decided to go ahead and freestyle. So I know that we talked a lot about what we did in the past few weeks. So now we're going to go ahead and jump into some more mortgage-related stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. What have you been seeing lately? Like, what's been going on? Any situations that you've been seeing, or just things real estate-wise that you want to discuss with the people? And
So what I did see was in the news, what was it, Remax and some of the other big-name companies settled a lawsuit here recently, and it was around the commissions that were being paid to real estate agents. So typically when you buy a house, right, the seller is the person who pays the commissions to the listing agent, and then the listing agent then splits their commission with the buyer's agent. And so a lot of sellers were kind of upset because they felt like, well, why should I have to pay for the buyer's agent?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so they settled that out of court. So, obviously what that means is there's going to be something put in place.
Yeah.
We
typically
don't
when
know.
Lawsuits happen, that's when they start making, rules or changes to,
Correct.
help navigate situations a lot better. So that does.
Correct. So, and from what I hear, I mean, you could probably speak on this a little bit better than me since you've been in mortgage since you was 2.
I was 2. You silly.
But apparently, back in the day, it used to be where buyers paid for their own real estate agent. Were you in this business when that was going on, or that was kind of slightly before you?
It was slightly before me, but
Okay.
I remember that because my mom, she actually she used to be a real estate agent, and so I remember during that time, a lot of times it was like a situation where the buyer, obviously the listing agent was going to pay. I mean, the seller was going to pay for the listing agent, right? But it was really kind of uncertain about how the buyer's agent was going to get paid. Mm-hmm. So it really wasn't kind of like how it is now. It's known like, hey, it's 6%, it's 3%, both ways. For the most part, obviously, it's not a set in stone thing, but it's just kind of known through the market. Back then, it really wasn't fully known. So you had to really the buyer's agent had to kind of like have an understanding, like have a conversation, like, hey, I have a buyer who's really interested in your property. You know, what is the split? Hey, how we're going to work this out? So it was kind of negotiated per deal back then.
Okay,
You know what I mean?
okay.
Versus now it's more so it's known what it is, and then if it's something different, then that's when
Correct.
it kind of is negotiated. So yeah, when I first got in around 07, 08, it started to shift to the point where it was like, you know, what the commissions were going to be. But right around that time, even before me, then that's when it was kind of like not fully known what the buyer's agent was going to receive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from what I've read, I mean, I'm not too, I don't really know exactly what's going on in that particular situation, but to me, it just sounds like there's going to be an addendum or some type of change to the paperwork, because ultimately there's no set amount that you're required to pay the agent. There isn't anything out there that says, oh, well, you're required to pay at least 3% of the sale of your home, or 6% of the sale of your home. So I don't think that there's going to be a situation where, unless they put an amount in place, where a seller would be required to know how much of the listing agent's check is going to go towards the buyer's agent. Like, you can't control what their split is. Yeah. If there is a split, or, how that goes. So I think ultimately it's probably going to be something surrounding like some type of addendum where, you just have to be upfront about like, hey, this is the fee. You're signing, making sure that you're aware that this is how much you're going to pay, and that there is a chance that I could split this. Yeah. And move on. Yeah. Or they would come out with a set amount, and then buyers would have to pay for their own agents. But we'll see. Yeah. Only time will tell. Yeah. If they're settling out of court, then there has to be some resolve. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree with you on that one. Yeah. So I've seen that here lately, and then obviously, rates have, we're dancing in the 8s, Yeah, we here. I've actually spoke to someone a couple nights ago who did a loan, and they were in the 9s. I was like, damn, I've never quoted a 9% rate, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some lenders out there who are. Yeah. So. And also, as we always mentioned before, just because the market is at a certain rate, depending upon your credit, you're not going to get that best rate available, right? Of course not. Let's say if the best rate available is an 8%, right? That's for the folks maybe that has, 740 credit score or higher. But if you're, 600, 620 around there, then you're probably going to be, even in this environment, probably looking at close to 9 because you're not going to get the same rate that a person with a 740 credit score is going to have. So, it's crazy. I've never seen... I'm trying to think. I've never quoted, I guess you could say. I can say I've never seen, because even when I first got in the business, I've seen rates in 9s, 10s, even 11s. And I was refining people down from that rate back then to like 6 and 7s. Like the 6 and 7s were gold back in like 08, 09. Like I remember literally every day when I would come out of class, because I was still in college kind of transitioning into, the mortgage business. That's what I would do. I would cold call for another person who actually got me in the business, Lisa. I would go to her office from 5 to 9 in the evening time, and I would sit there and just cold call a whole bunch of people and try to get, basically, we had a list where it would tell us what their interest rates was and their phone number. And I would just call them and kind of tell them like, hey, like, you should think about this. And I did the number. I was really good with math, still is. So I was just looking at, hey, you could save this amount of money, and then I would basically feed leads to her. So if I got people interested, and I would just, like, the next morning, she would have these people she needed to call the next day. So that was kind of how the hustle that, how I got into business or whatnot. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's real tough. And like I said, because we're in a time where, prices are high, rates are high. So you have a lot of people just kind of, waiting. I had several people reach out to me recently, just like, saying, hey, I want to buy, we kind of went over rates. I got them pre-approved, and then we kind of go over what that mortgage payment looks like. And there's like, I can't do that. Like, I just can't do that, or that's just a little bit too much for me, or what they are actually, because of where rates are and where prices are, like what they want is not what they can afford. So they're just like, hey, I'm going to wait for rates to get down. So I try to let people know the benefit of starting that home ownership clock now. But at the same time, I'm not going to pressure salesman or anything like that. I'm going to let you know kind of the benefit of buying now versus waiting.
But if you choose to wait, and if you feel like that's something that's best for you and your situation, I mean, then that's what you're going to do. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's tough. And I remember back in, because I started a mortgage in 17? And I want to say, like, that first year and a half, I was quoting 3s, maybe 4s. And at one point, I want to say it was like end of 2018, early 2019, definitely before the pandemic. I remember quoting rates in the 6s.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was 6s was like, it was high back then.
Yeah.
But it wasn't unnormal to have a rate at 6 or 5%, depending on what your credit was, depending on what program you were in. So that was kind of normal. But then we got into the pandemic, and the pandemic showed us that, hey, you can get a rate at 2 point whatever percent.
Yep.
And now people have this lost expectation that it's going to go back down to that amount. And that was, like, historically the lowest rates that have ever.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, that was
ever.
That was the lowest rates have ever been. And I mean, it was done for a purpose. Like, it wasn't like something led to that. It was more so like, hey,
because of
we're
a
in the pandemic. Hey, we're trying to stimulate the economy.
Yeah.
You know, people are losing their jobs. You know, by lowering rates, that's going to have people buy and sell real estate, which can help stimulate the economy. A lot of people will be getting paid. A lot of jobs will still be able to happen during that time, and that's what happened. But now, I mean, like you said, I mean, a normal, if you look at it, you're paying for it now, obviously. But I mean, a normal rate environment, honestly, if you have I would say anywhere between high 4s and low 6s. I mean, that's like
average.
That's an average rate. Like, that's normally what it is, But again, with you just coming off the time of having rates in the low 2s and people having 3% interest rates, I mean, it's it's a lot of people are waiting for that again, and it's just not going to happen.
No,
it's not going to happen. So you might as well say, hey, I'm waiting for another pandemic to happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
And we know how the time frame betwing the last pandemic to the one we just had.
Correct.
I mean, it was quite a long
years.
time.
Yeah.
So if you want to wait for that long, then hey, more power to you. But but it's just one of those situations where that's. It's tough. It's tough. It's really tough, and
it is tough. I mean, but I've also seen people who, I had a buyer the other day. He decided to rent, and now he's renting a 2-bedroom for over $2,000, and it's like,
dang,
you might as well pay your own mortgage. You might as well get a home and pay your own mortgage.
Yeah.
But
another thing too. If
you're not ready, I get it.
Another thing, what I'll say too is because I know how social media is. I know how you see everyone's highlight reel. You see people with this nice house, these nice vehicles, traveling, doing all these things, right? And so it gives you this false like narrative of what things should be or how things really are. Because to be honest with you, a lot of times the people I help are first-time home buyers, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I would say the majority of folks I help is first-time home buyers.
Uh-huh.
And so for me, I mean, I feel like you can buy something. You don't have to buy your forever home first.
Oh, I had this conversation with a buyer just recently.
Yeah, I mean, because I feel like a lot of times people feel like, hey, I got to buy this new construction, this
upgraded home.
This home that has, that's worth, $400,000-$600,000. And honestly, right now, that's probably not the move, especially as a first-time home buyer, right?
No.
So, I mean,
that's not the move with your income.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, let's scratch the first-time home buyer. If your income don't meet the qualifications, you got to live within your means.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying. So there's still opportunities, and that's basically what I'm saying. Like, there's opportunities out there for you to buy a home. Maybe you want a single-family home, but right now, the single-family home prices are more than what you can afford. So you may have to buy a townhome or a condo, because there's still houses, and I mean, there's still townhomes and condos out there selling in the 200,000s, 250,
Absolutely.
260 range, I mean, and that's something that you could still buy something at that price point and it'd be very affordable, be very comparable to what you would pay in rent,
Correct.
For something that's much smaller.
You were a upgrade type of person. Like, your first home wasn't.
I was a townhouse. I was a townhouse. I bought a townhouse, then I bought another home once I got married, and then we bought our forever home. I mean, that was our third purchase, and I think that a lot of folks don't understand. Not gonna say understand. They understand it, but it's just like
that process. You don't want to go through it.
Yeah. There's steps to it, man. And I just wanted to make sure I brought that up today because I feel like, a lot of people are waiting on the sidelines, waiting for that big, huge purchase when you can go ahead and buy that first home, and it may not be what the long-term play is, but for right now, while rates are high, that's the play, right? And then the next play is, hey, because real estate's ever appreciating, and because there's a low inventory, the house is going to grow in value. So you can use
especially in this area. We can't speak for all areas, but especially in this one. I mean, it's a high military turn.
Very transit area.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could, in your situation, you could either after you buy that first house, if you're ready the next time, 2-3 years from that time to buy the forever home, then cool. If you're not quite ready yet there, you can use that first house as a rental, right, to generate passive income, or you can utilize that house and sell it and utilize that, money that you make from the sale of the house to help buy that next house. And then you can maybe graduate to a single family home, right, that you were kind of looking at the first time, but, you didn't necessarily could afford it. Maybe you didn't have enough money or whatnot, but you used that first townhome or condo, the proceeds from that to help you purchase and put money down for that. And then keep that one and then, buy your third house and be your forever, or that second house be your forever home. So, I mean, there's different ways to go about it. And I don't want people to just think that, hey, you got to wait on the sidelines until everything's perfect. And no, I mean, there's always a way to maneuver a situation. And I think that understanding hey, I can be a first time home buyer. I can be not even a first time home buyer. Let's say circumstances changed and hey, I can afford this. Even though I want something, this is what I can afford. I'm going to go ahead and buy that now, utilize it, maximize that situation, and then move up when the time is right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like when I first started out, technically, I still live in my first purchase right now. You know what I mean? I could potentially get a bigger house, but it's just not, I don't need to.
Yeah.
I'm not in a need to have another house, right? And that's where a lot of buyers are right now, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's why it's low inventory, because people have these houses, right? And they can afford to get a bigger house or to move on to their next house, but they're not, because it's not a need as opposed to, just wanting to do something.
Correct.
And so that's causing a lot of the low inventory as well.
Yep.
And I'm one of those people where, I want to move to a different area. I want to, get a bigger home. I could use an extra bedroom or two, I can use a 6-bedroom versus a 4.
Yeah.
But do I want to? Do I feel like spending an extra $1,500 a month on a mortgage? No, not really. So I'm going to stay where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, this industry is very interesting right now.
Yeah,
most definitely.
Yeah, it is.
So I'm looking forward to there's always in our industry, it's always been like a slow season, right? When we get into the holidays, typically it gets a little slower for most of us, and usually the summer is booming, right? So I'm looking forward to what spring and summer next year is going to bring. Because I feel like we can't sit in this rate environment for too long.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of homelessness if we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things are going to have to come down. That's just historically how things work. So
Yeah. And I mean, I'll say too, I mean, I know Jerome Powell, head Fed chair, he spoke the other day and
that improved rates.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, he said some positive. I guess you could say positive things. He said some things where he didn't really see any more rate hikes, in the near future per se. We're still not at the target inflation number that they want us to be, but it seems like when it comes to consistently raising the rate, it's kind of been a pause on that right now, or he doesn't see it happening in the near future. And so therefore that did help rates. So rates did, this week I would say as overall has been we have a system we look at daily where, it tells us if rates are in the green means good because rates are going down, and then red means, rates went up. And so, obviously we want more green days than red days. And this week has been more green days when the market closes. So, this week has been a good week. But, we still have a long way to go, when it comes to getting rates back at a more affordable part, I would say number for the majority of folks out there, But it hopefully, in the near future, we'll be back in a more manageable situation where rates are maybe in the 5s or 6s and people feel a little bit, more easier, about buying homes, and not necessarily feeling like, it's they can't afford it, or some folks just can't afford it, right? But
Correct.
there are some folks who actually can afford it, but just feel like, hey, I don't want to do it because I'm waiting for something better, right?
Yep.
So, we'll see. I know this year, 2024, is a big year. I mean, we have an election year coming up. I've been getting, I don't know if your listeners out there or even you, Sophia, but I've been getting hit with a whole bunch of text messages with the election things. I know we have a local election next week on the 7th on Tuesday. But I've been getting hit with a whole bunch of hey, vote for this person. Text is saying, hey, this campaign is this. You want to contribute to this campaign and all that. So I know.
No, I don't get. I mean, I'm not in the local. Yeah.
Gotcha. True. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
So I get all the stuff for Florida, but not here.
Yeah. So I've been getting a lot of that stuff lately, and so I know in an election year, there's normally a lot going on with the market, a lot of volatility. So we'll see how that also could impact, what things are going and how things have been going, or I would say for the last year.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Usually we play a game called Exercise Your Knowledge.
Yeah.
But today, I'm just gonna simply ask, do you think that it's the right time to buy? And think about that.
Yeah.
When you think about, because I know you hear it on TV, you hear it in the news, you have conversations with your friends on your, date night, game night, whatever kind of night you do with your friends. And the topic always comes up if you're adulting, right? Is this a good time to buy? Really think about that and let us know what you think.
Yeah, I get that question a lot. It's funny. Every time.
All the time.
Yeah, every time I go.
All the time.
Yeah, it's funny. Every time I go somewhere, obviously in our industry, we got to make sure people know what we do, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, in conversation, I'll either get asked or I'll make sure I assert myself and let them know what I do. If I'm maybe at a buddy's house and there's, he has some friends over that I've never met before or whatnot. And then it's always that question: is this a good time to buy? What do you think? What is this? What that? Whatever. So it's just funny. I feel like I literally have that conversation all the time. I remember 2 weeks ago, I was at my buddy's house watching a boxing fight, and same thing. We were playing cards, and literally everybody at the table was I felt like I was
defending
on stage. Yeah, everybody was asking me questions. Well, what about this? What about that? Well, I heard this. I heard that. And it's just funny.
I'm gonna give you my opinion here shortly.
Yeah, it just seems like everybody. It's just funny how the media and how that really drives everybody's opinion on what they see and how they view things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So as far as our topic goes today, we're not going to focus on a particular subject. Would you say that that's, accurate?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But is there anything in the media or anything that you've seen recently that you want to touch on?
Shoot, I mean, we talked about some stuff.
What about closing costs? How do you feel about those?
Closing costs?
Assistance.
Oh, closing cost assistance? What you mean by how do I feel about it?
What have you been seeing in regards to that? How can we let the people know what's going on when it comes to that? Because now, we've talked about, in the past, okay, what it means to make a down payment, what it means to have closing costs. But there was a time where we were saying hey, look, you better save because you might not get closing cost assistance. But now that the market has kind of shifted, a little, obviously in mortgage, there's always change in this industry. So in the month of November of 2023, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen recently on a couple of contracts that I've gotten recently, each one has the seller has paid either all or some of the buyer's closing costs.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times that we referenced before, when it comes to buying a home, we always want to have the buyer be prepared to pay their own closing costs, because ultimately it is your closing costs, you know. But one of the good things, I guess you could say, in this market is, you know, in a market like we came out of with the lower interest rates, you know, it's kind of like pick your poison, right? You know, because during that time you were paying, you know, well above asking price, so you had to have tens of thousands of dollars to put on top of you just buying the house. You got a lower rate, but you had to liquidate, you know, a good amount of your funds, you know, during that time, just to be competitive. Buy the house sight unseen. Yeah, just be competitive. You know, getting a house without a home inspection. Those are some of the things you sacrifice. Now, what's happening is obviously, yes, rates are higher, so your payment's higher. But you're able to actually make a sound decision when it comes to it. And honestly, there's less competition, right? So, you know, when there's less competition, you know, it's more of a buyer's market, as they say. And so the buyer has a lot more leverage. And so you can ask the seller to do a lot more things than what you just, you know, than what the market was beforehand. So like now you can ask the seller to pay all of your closing costs. So there's situations now where you can, you know, buy a house, have a higher interest rate, but truly me coming out of your pocket, very little money, if any. Right.
Correct.
If you're able to get down payment assistance and then have all your closing costs paid, I mean, in those situations, as long as you can pay your home inspection and your earnest money deposit, you know, I mean, those are, you know, normally less than, when you combine both of those are normally less than about $1,500 to $2,000. You can get a whole house.
Correct.
Right. Versus, you know, the market we just came out of, you know, during the pandemic, where, you know, you were having to pay just to be, you know, in the game or be, you know, considered, you would have to pay $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. You know what I mean?
So, and this was first-time home buyers. First-time home buyers
having to do
just
that.
Just a year and a half ago. Were having to come out of pocket $40,000, $50,000 just to win the bid on the house, and pay their closing costs.
Yeah, so that's why I was telling folks, like, hey, you were paying this money up front, right? So now with the higher interest rates, you're just kind of paying it over time. And then if you look at the math on it, you know, let's say the payment is $500-$600 more than what it was beforehand. You know, you're still able to make out because you can refinance once rates go down. And it'll take, you know, let's say just looking at the math, it'll take maybe 4 to 5 years for that, you know, like let's say if you bought a house in 2000, or you were trying to buy a house in 2021 or 2022, and you were having to put $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, you know,
like 10 years.
Yeah, right. So that's like 10 years, or like I said, I was doing the math, maybe like 5 to 6 years, depending on the mortgage payment difference right now. But, you know, if your payment is $500 higher now than it was back then, that's about $6,000 a year, right? So, you know, 7, 8, 9 years that's how long it's going to take for you to have now paid it through your payment versus paying it up front at that particular time, you know? And so typically people can refinance. I mean, I would hope and think that rates would be lower, you know,
within 10 years.
Within, you know, 7 to 8 years from now.
Exactly.
So, you know, that's a kind of another way to look at it. You know, I mean, it's just like, hey, you know, we were doing these things and that became normal. So now we're in a situation where rates are high. I mean, it's just, that's what it is, right? But how is this situation? How can you still benefit in this situation? That's one of the ways you can still benefit is being able to buy a house with less cost out of pocket.
That's absolutely correct. So when circling back to that question that we asked you guys earlier, is that I hope that you thought about, is it a good time to buy now? Absolutely. I feel that if you're a first-time home buyer and you currently don't own, yes, it is a good time for you to buy. Why? Because you'll have home ownership. When you rent and you walk away from that, you walk away empty-handed. You're putting all of your money into this place to live, and ultimately you're walking away with nothing. You'll be lucky if you get your deposit back. Honestly. Now, if you are a current homeowner and you don't have a legitimate reason why you want to buy, because there's some people who, let's say, a husband and wife, they originally bought the house with just them. Now they got 4 kids, but they only have a 2-bedroom. They need to buy too. But if you were in a situation where you just want to buy because you just want to move to a different neighborhood, because it aesthetically the house looks better, you know, ultimately just by cosmetically it looks better, I would say you probably wouldn't want to buy in this market.
Correct.
But if you don't have home ownership, or if you have a legitimate reason why you need to upgrade your home, yes, it is a good time to buy, because later, when appreciation continues to increase, you're building equity in that property that you could potentially pull in the future to pay off debt, put your kid through school, whatever your circumstance is or whatever that need is in the future. Mm-hmm. You'll never be able to go to your landlord and say, hey, I need $10,000 to, I don't know, start a new business. No, you'll never be able to do that. But if you own a home and you have equity in this property, that's something that you can utilize.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%.
Yeah. All right, so I think we covered the market.
Yep.
We covered exercise your knowledge.
Yeah. I think we, like I said, I know we
what
did.
What you got coming up?
What I got coming up? Well, this afternoon, like I mentioned, I'm playing a little golf. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited about that. It's probably going to be. I played Monday, because Monday actually was a very, very nice day.
This past Monday?
Yeah, this past Monday was like 80 degrees.
So you played on Monday.
Yep.
And then it was cold Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And the little bit of sun that's coming out today, you're like, oh.
I'm squeezing it.
That's funny.
I'm squeezing it. Yeah. I'm doing it.
That's an obsession.
It is. I told you, I'm definitely obsessed. I bought myself a new golf bag as well, so I'm excited about that. I got to get me some new golf clubs here soon. So yeah, I'm locked in. So yeah, we're playing golf this afternoon.
Some of the best deals happen on the golf course.
But I guess I got to play with some other people. I'm playing with the same two. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. I play with some different people. I do.
Yeah.
I do. But
you play often with the same people, but you do dabble into
I play with other people. Yeah.
Because you played for Atlantic Bay a few times, right? And then you played for
it was another
not Iron Valley. What was it? Some golf.
Creed Realty.
Creed.
Yeah,
yes.
Creed Realty had one. Yep. So I played it. I played it a couple of them.
I don't even look at those emails because I can't play golf at all. Let's just say, if all the followers out there who have been to Top Golf, and how they have the holes across the field of golf, whatever. What do you call a course?
Yeah,
is that what it's called?
That's
golf.
What it's called, yeah. I was gonna let you try to figure that out.
Look, I could barely get the 2 front holes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So golf is just not for me. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Do they make like different golf clubs for women?
Mm-hmm.
Or okay.
Yeah, they do. They actually, you can.
I do know they do left and right, lefties and righties, but I didn't know if they like.
There's specific women's. Yeah.
Okay. Is it lighter?
I would assume so. I don't. Okay. Obviously, me being a man, I haven't looked too far into like what the differences are. But I do know that there is.
You know the difference between a girl ball and a boy ball.
Well, it's smaller. Yeah. But that's what I'm trying to say. So I'm thinking, in golf terms, I'm thinking it's probably either smaller or lighter as well. You know what I mean? But I just don't know. Is basically what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had like a women's club. I've had a women's basketball in my hand, but I never had a women's golf club before. So
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm playing golf later today. My son got invited to a Halloween/birthday party.
After Halloween?
I know, that's what I was gonna say. I guess maybe they were trying to.
They should have had a fall festival. That's what they should have did. They should have did like apple. Remember back in the day, we used to like dive in for apples and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
They don't do that type of stuff no more.
Yeah, my kids, so at their school, they got a fall festival where they do stuff like that. They get their face painted. They do like the little dunk thing. You know how you sit there and you throw the ball and you can drop in water. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they do.
Who gets dunked? Parents?
No, it normally is the teachers. The teachers do it.
Teachers.
Yeah. So they have those.
They need to do that for the principal. I'll be out there.
They actually it sucks. So kind of still going into what I got going on. So the fall festival was supposed to be like a couple weeks ago. It was like early October, but it was also a weekend where we had some pretty bad rain, and so they postponed it. And so they actually postponed it to next Saturday, which is November 11th. But we're actually going to Disney World. So on this coming Wednesday, we're going to Disney World for the second time. So it's exciting. We went a couple years ago.
Second time this year? Oh, second time in general.
Yeah, this is my kid's second time going. We went back in 2021. It was kind of one of the things where the kids were really wanting to go. It was kind of when the pandemic had faded out.
Sloan probably don't remember that.
Nah, she don't. I don't think she's really gonna remember that. But
she may remember this one because she's 3, right?
yeah, she's 3. Yeah, 3.
I don't. Do you have memories at age 3? I don't think so.
The earliest I can go back to is like late 4s.
Yeah,
like late 4s is what I can remember pretty.
Now
and five I can remember pretty vividly. I can remember pretty much a lot at 5. But yeah, late 4s I kind of have a start memory of it. But yeah, so we're going to Disney World on Wednesday. So I'm excited about that. It should be fun. I know we had fun the first time that we went during the pandemic. It was good. Two things, kind of like what I say about the mortgage stuff, right? When we went in 2021, a lot of stuff was cheaper, right? Because of the pandemic, because things being closed down, the hotel we stayed at was a really nice on property hotel. It was like half off, because of the pandemic, right?
Because nobody was staying in hotels. Everybody was scared to death.
Exactly. Yeah. So that stuff was really good, right? The travel, all that stuff was real cheap, but a lot of, not gonna say a lot, I would say probably like 30% of the things there at the parks were closed, right? So we were able to experience about 70% of the things that were there because of the pandemic. So now the trip's a lot more expensive, but the kids and myself will be able to experience everything. It's wide open. I mean, there's no nothing that's closed down now. And we're also going this time in November, where hopefully, I've been looking at the weather, but hopefully it's a little bit cooler than it was when we went in August last time. So,
oh yeah, it'll be cooler than August, but it's still gonna be hot.
Yeah. So that's
don't
what we
get your hopes too high.
Yeah. That's what we got coming up. Is that Disney trip? So just getting prepared for that. And like I said, the birthday party tonight. So
okay.
Yeah. What about yourself? What you got?
I don't really have anything planned for the weekend. So the weekend that you're going to Disney, I'm actually doing a Veterans Day coffee event on that Saturday.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that. And then on Monday, we have that renovations training for real estate agents. So
it's going to be a good time.
Yep, that's in the morning. So I'm excited about that. But over the weekend, I don't really have anything planned. I actually thought, to myself, oh, maybe I should, take do my kids' hair. But then I have to, really be strategic about when I'm going to do it because braids can last, 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks in their hair. And so I don't want to do it too early to where on Thanksgiving it looks kind of funny. But then I also don't want to do it too close to Thanksgiving to where now I'm having to take it down and put it back in for Christmas. So they, so I have to really get a good date in there so I can do their hair. And it may be this weekend depending on timing. So I'm about to look into it because I know this month we got 5 weeks and technically today is the first Friday of the month. We or yesterday was the first Thursday of the month. We still got a few more. So. Yeah. Having kids with braids is no joke, man. I wish I could cut everybody's hair off and just, go get faded.
That's funny, get faded.
Yeah. Walk around all of us.
All of them with low cuts. Yeah.
Because even if you got the hair out, you got to moisture. I don't know. It's just a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah. Nah, I see. I see it in the house. My son, we cut his hair down for his 5th birthday, but he had long hair, for his first 4 or 5 years of his life, and my daughter, obviously, and my wife. So, I see it. I see it firsthand.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
It's no joke. I envy my Caucasian friends that don't have to do nothing to their kids' hair. They just got to get up and wash it and go.
Yeah.
The black mamas out there, you got to take about an hour or 2, depending on your kid. It may be even longer. To do their hair.
Yeah, my daughter, she don't play when it comes to her hair. She does not like it. She's literally fighting, Brooke and myself. It's crazy.
You got to restrain them.
Yeah, it's dreadful.
Yeah. They got this device out there for people with that for kids when you get an X-ray. And I remember my daughter had to get an x-ray because we thought that she had pneumonia. And so it's this device that they made, and it's like this clear tube that they put around their bodies. And they're like this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they're stuck, and they can't move. And I was
Yeah.
like, that is the greatest device that they've ever made. Like, imagine how much hair you can get done in that device.
Yeah.
They cannot
They probably
move.
pass out. They be screaming so much, they probably just pass out.
Go to sleep.
Yeah, just go to sleep.
Yeah.
That's
That's the
crazy.
best time to do kids' hair is when they sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, it's the best time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So you got the quote of the day?
I would just say, again, we were freestyling this episode. We didn't write anything down. But quote of the day, I would say is, anything that you put your mind to, you can do.
Okay.
That's just something that's short and sweet that I feel that I know a lot of people are having tough times right now, but your mind is very, very powerful. And if you put your mind to do something, as long as you put the hard work and discipline behind it, I mean, you could do anything, man. Like, it's really, like, that's one thing I can say about life, man.
And be
it's
patient
tough.
with it, though. Give yourself grace.
Yeah. It's like life has its challenges, has its ups and downs, but as long as you work hard and as long as you're disciplined in whatever it is that you're working towards, I mean, you could really accomplish any and everything, man. So just keep pushing, keep grinding, and make it happen.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So that's all we have. We thank you guys for listening to our podcast. You can follow me on social media, Facebook and Instagram, SKB_mortgage.
Yep, and I'm Bryan_Royster. It's BRYAN_Royster.
All right. Thank you for listening to our podcast, and we will see you next week.
See you next week.